Hey, this is Donnie Smith back with another video to help you work on your own car at home. In this video, we are block sanding primer. We got a fender that we're working on. It's on the Acura project, and we've already got it primed in the last video. Well, this video, we're going to show you some steps and some tricks whenever you're block sanding your primer. So sit back, take a few minutes, and enjoy the video. Alright, we're going to block sand this. I'm using a Motor Guard block. This is a really neat block, and I'll put a link down in the description so you can learn more about it. But I'm using an adhesive system. This is stick-on. It's not the hook it, where it's like Velcro. It just has adhesive on the back side and sticks onto the block. And you just want to cut it to fit the block. Make sure it's on there nice and flat so you have a level surface. Now I'm using some guide coat. And guide coat, you can get this in spray like this, or it comes in a dry form. Both work well. But I just recommend, not using a cheap paint or something like that because it doesn't sand well. But guide coat is really helpful. It's a tool to help you identify highs and lows, and really I don't care how experienced you are. It's a step you don't want to skip. It's just anything that can make your job easier, or maybe even prevent you from missing something, by all means use it. So I'm using 320 grit sandpaper to sand this because I'm pretty confident that this is going to be able to block out in one primer. What that means is, prime it one time, block it one time. And that's the goal that you want to get to, where most of the work you do is it takes only one time, but sometimes it may take two. If you find some imperfections, and that's why I've left it masked. Just in case I did have to prime it again, it's masked off. I can blow it off, clean it up, and I can, put another coat, couple coats of primer. Let's just save you time. So I'm leaving it masked off. Now also notice that I'm working it section at a time, from body line to body line. I did that top section. Now I'm working on the bottom section, and you really don't want to sand across the body lines. You might. Right at the end, you might sand your body lines a little bit, but just to keep them nice and sharp, I break it into sections. Plus, it makes it small, manageable steps that, it's pretty easy to sand one section at a time. Now, if I knew ahead of time, it's like, man, this thing just kind of feels a little bit wavy or something, I knew I was going to have to prime and block it again, I would start with 220 because that's going to cut it faster. And then I could prime over the 220 grit scratches. So I've got that all blocked out. There was one small spot up here that I had primed, so I had to block that as well. Now I am cleaning the surface with some wax and grease remover, and this is just to help me identify anything that I may have missed. It gets dusty and sometimes it's hard to see all that. And I recommend doing this before you get it ready for paint. Because a lot of times you get it cleaned and you'll see some guide coat, or an area that needs more attention, which I did right here. I found something that needs some more sanding. So I'm going to get that sanded. Now I'm going to clean it again just to inspect it one more time, make sure it's good. Now what we're wanting to do is get all the guide coat off without sanding through. If there's guide coat and you've sanded through and there's metal showing or something like that, that means you're probably going to have to prime and block it again. Or, may even have to rework your body work, if it was that bad, that extensive. So, it all looks good. And now I'm going to pull the masking paper off because I know I don't have to prime it again. And get it ready for paint. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going over the entire surface with a scuff pad. And, just to make sure any primer oversprays off, all the edges are good. I've already prepped this fender, but just to make sure it is all sanded well. Now, one thing I didn't show here, where I blocked the primer with 320, I went over with 500 to final sand it to remove the 320 grit scratches. For some reason I didn't get that in the video, but you do want to minimize those 320 grit scratches on the primer area by using 500. And notice what I'm cleaning. I'm cleaning the underside of it as well. You want to remove any dirt that you can to get a cleaner paint job. And I'm washing it now, and notice that I'm using a scuff pad even to wash it, and this is just to make sure all your edges and that it's good and clean. You've removed all traces of contamination. A lot of cleaning to properly prep a fender. So I used some soap and water and scuffed it with that, and now I'm rinsing it off again. And now I've got it all cleaned up, ready, and it's ready to stick in the booth. You know, once it dries real good, and it'll be ready to spray. And as always, I really appreciate you for watching these videos. I give you a thumbs up for watching, and if you like this video, I appreciate if you give me a thumbs up as well. You know, give me a like. And I'd also appreciate if you would share this with your friends on the forums you belong to or social networks to help get the word out to other people, you know, who may be wanting to work on their cars as well. And you can also subscribe to my website if you'd like to get some additional free training. You can go to collisionblast.com. It's free to sign up, and you can go there and subscribe. Well, that wraps it up for this video, but be sure and check out some other videos. Thanks again for watching, and remember, if something's worth doing, do your best and have a blast doing it.